Hi there. If you're an operations person and want to learn about order entry and dispatchability, then this is the video for you. Let's head right to the operations here and orders. So orders are what your customer asks you to move. All of your orders will populate on this screen, and this button to the left of the order number will show the status, whether it's an unassigned order, it's an in-transit order, or delivered. There's a create button right here at the top of the screen, so you can create your orders that you are moving for your customers. Let's understand that an order will convert to an invoice upon delivery. So here in the order create screen, I can select the customer. Shortcut here for you, everyone. Your customer list is going to grow and be quite long. You don't have to load or look through this entire list. You can simply filter the list by typing the first few letters of the customer's name that you want to go to work for, and it will appear there in the pull down. So see how my pull down has filtered out everything and returned only the customer that begins with the IMP. If I need to create a customer on the fly, I can do so using this plus sign, and that's going to open up a customer quick create for me. But we want to make sure our customers have proper credit established and things like that. So it is always better to create the customer first from the customer screen. Back to this order. Let's go to work for, today, let's go to work for building supply company. So right here, I have my customers listed. I'm going to work for building supply company. Here in this pull down will be every contact record that you have created for this company. So let's assume that it was Mike over there that called me with this order to move for them. If the customer requires a reference number populated here in this field, whatever that reference number might be, this field will print on the invoice for you. So customers very often issue reference numbers or PO numbers. You can assign the branch. The branch will automatically be populated according to the branch record that this customer is set to, their preferred branch, but you can always change it. The booked by person is going to populate through from whoever is logged into the application. The account rep, the sales rep will populate through from the defaults that are set on your customer record. But again, you can change it if needed. You can set the account rep to whoever you need, the sales rep to whoever you need. These two fields right here, everyone, those are custom fields that have been set up in my database. You can ignore those, but also understand that if there's any data that we're not tracking for you, every trucking company, every freight brokerage company is different. So if there happens to be data that you can't find a field to track it with, create a custom field. That will be very useful for you. You have the ability to create up to 4 user-defined fields on every record in our software. Now that I've put in who the customer is that I'm working for, I can click the next button, which will, of course, open up all the other fields that are required for order data entry. So now I can say what I happen to be moving. So I'm going to go with some building supplies. The equipment that I require, again, a big, long drop-down list for you. I don't like using my mouse when I'm doing data entry. I like to tab through the fields, and I've got some shortcuts for you. You need a flat deck, type an F. You need a van, type a V. Quick shortcut for you. So let's go ahead and move some building supplies in a dry van today. The number of pieces, packages, skids, barrels, whatever it might be. I'm going to go with 12 skids. Again, here in the package type, you've got all sorts of ability to choose different packages. I'm going to go with the basic skids. The weight of the shipment, whatever that weight might be, populate it there. If you don't have the weight, that's okay. Just leave it with the $0. Maybe you learn $0, the zero in there. Maybe you learn the weight of the load after your driver has loaded. That's okay, can be accomplished there. You have three choices here. Now, I know everybody out there knows what a FTL is, full load. I also know you know what LTL is. That's less than trailer loads. That's multiple shipments for multiple customers. Partial. Let's talk about partial, because some of our customers question that word. A partial is multiple shipments moving for one customer. Example, you have a customer that asks you to pick up 5 skids at their facility, but deliver out to 5 different Walmart stores, Home Depot stores, 5 different drops of those 5 skids. Each skid becomes its own partial because they all have different destination locations. So partials are simply multiple shipments for one customer. Now, the next thing we move on to is where are we picking up and where are we delivering? Again, a pull down for you with lots of locations. This is every location that gets created and set up in your database. So all locations can be used with different customers. Again, type the first few letters of the location record and it will populate everything here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up at a building supply company, happens to be in Portland, Oregon, with a pickup date. We always know what date we're picking loads up, choosing the date. If there is no scheduled pickup time, leave this blank then, that's okay. But if there happens to be a scheduled pickup, populate the time there and switch this toggle on, because the software will show that appointment time on load confirmations issued to carrier partners and trip manifests issued to company drivers and owner operators. If there happens to be a pickup number, populate it there. If there happens to be particular notes, driver must check in at security gate. Whatever those details are, this is the ability to get the information through to whoever is moving that load for you. Now, where are we delivering this load to? Well, let's go again to a different building supply facility. So let's go to the building supply store number 47. Happens to be in Ontario, California, with a delivery date, whatever that might be. Now, very often, while we aren't given specific appointment times, we might be given unloading or loading windows. So just type that information in. These fields, the reference number, the delivery notes, those are all going to populate through to the dispatch and show for whoever it is that's moving the load for you. These are, again, custom fields, everyone, so just ignore those for right now. But remember, custom fields might be very useful for you. You have some buttons right down here that are going to allow you to create those multiple shipments. Again, a customer that asks you to do 6 different pickups at 6 different locations and deliver everything to his warehouse, a customer that asks you to pick up 3 skids and deliver them out to 3 different facilities, can all be handled using these buttons. Let me explain what these particular buttons will do. Add another shipment will simply create this shipment, populate it on the screen for you, and allow you to detail another shipment. Useful if you're moving multiple commodities for a customer. Add a pick will populate this shipment on the screen for you, open up more fields for you to enter the second pickup. It will leave the destination location populated, saving you that data entry time, and of course, we'll leave the origin location blank, allowing you to choose a new pickup location. Add drop, flip side of that coin, of course, it creates the shipment, populates it on the screen, leaves the origin location populated, leaves the destination location blank. So now you can choose a new drop location. Add return is very useful in the case of round trip scenarios. And add copy will simply populate this shipment on the screen and open up exactly the same details on another shipment record for you. Great. The last thing, once you've created your order, I'm representing a one pick, one drop full load scenario right here. Once we've entered all those details, the last thing is how much money are we charging the customer for the movement of this order? So your currency will be set as the default currency from the customer record. Here in this revenue item will be all of those revenue items that you have set up in your configuration area. Now that information is covered off in the Getting Started guide. Setting up your database, all of those learning documents are there for you. We'll take you out there in just a moment, everyone. So I'm going to charge this customer a basic freight charge of $1,500. If I want to put fuel surcharge on this $1,500, I can switch this toggle on and add another revenue line. It populates that freight charge of $1,500 on the screen for me. Give it just a minute. It's going to show here. There it goes. So it populates my freight charge of $1,500, allows me now to choose my fuel surcharge. There it is right there. So my fuel surcharge will populate. The unit rate will automatically put in there because that's the amount you said was FSCable. And now you can put in a percentage of the fuel surcharge. Most fuel surcharges are done by a percentage. Maybe this week you're only getting a 0.35, right? A 0.035 percentage. Maybe we want to charge some accessorials. You can simply finish the order right now, but let's look at how easy it is to add accessorials. Maybe I've been asked to tarp this load. We're probably moving it on a van, but that's okay. Here, by simply adding another revenue, again, the software goes to work for you. It creates your line item of a fuel surcharge, determining 3.5% of 1,500 is $5,250. Now, again, I want to do an accessorial. Maybe I've been asked to tarp this load. All I have to do is choose the revenue item. The unit will populate through from that revenue item, or I can also change it if needed. I'm going to charge a $100 tarp charge on this load. Now that I've entered all the data, all I have to do is finish the order. You can certainly dispatch the order right from here, but I'm going to finish it so we can see what this finished order looks like. So by clicking the Finish Order button, the software will go to work for me and let me know that the order has been created. It tells me my order has been successfully created. I can use this link to click right into the order. I can post it to load boards if needed. I can open the order with this button, or I can simply go right back to the order list with this button. Let's go ahead and open the order so we can see it. So this happens to be order 1279. I can see my shipment details. I can see what I'm charging. Here under the print menu is the ability for you to see your invoices, your bills of ladings, your rate advisories. You, of course, will have the ability to email any of these items. You can also simply print them right here under the print menu. Now, under the More button is some more complicated issues that I don't go into with this basic training video. So always make sure you check out your More button to see what else is there for you. Great, this order will now populate on your order screen for you. And it will be in that purple, undispatched color. And sorry, I've got my filtering going on a little different, so I'm just going to toggle my lists here. So there we go. There's the order I just created, 1279, showing in that purple unassigned color. Let's talk about dispatching these orders now. So while you can create all sorts of orders and populate them here on the order screen, you also have a dispatch list here, the ability to see your dispatches and how they're moving. But we first have to dispatch this order for it to populate over on that dispatch list. So I'm going to dispatch two different orders today, one for asset-based trucking companies and another for freight brokerage, because it is a little different scenario here. Let's go and pick up this order and dispatch it to asset-based trucking. So here we go, my order 1278, it's all ready to go. I simply use this button, dispatch all shipments onto a new. Existing will only be used in the case of throwing a skid of LTL on the back of a trailer that's already been dispatched. Let's go ahead with a new, and then the application is going to ask me some more questions. Give it just a minute. I happen to live in a remote community and don't have high-speed internet. Great, so right here in the dispatch create screen, I have the ability to choose either company truck or broker carrier. In this case, we're moving it on asset-based trucking. So making sure my company truck button is highlighted, I can now choose the truck that's going to move that load for me. I can assign the trailer that's going to move the load. I can assign the driver. So we're going to set this to Georgia Green. I can also account for empty dispatch miles. So your truck emptied out in a particular location and now has to travel to pick up this one. You can account for those empty inter-dispatch segment miles by simply switching this toggle on and choosing the location that you want it to show. I'm just going to leave that off for now. We're not going to track empty dispatch miles. Now that I've set the truck and the driver and the trailer, I can hit the save button and the software is going to populate the dispatch record for me. So let's understand the difference between orders and dispatches. Orders will convert to an invoice upon delivery. So orders are all customer related and revenue driven. Dispatches, how you move that for your customer, are all expense driven. That's my internet at work, everyone. Give it just a minute. It's gonna, there we go. Okay, so the trip populates on the screen, assigns a brand new number. Because this is expense driven, remember, orders are your revenue, dispatches are how you get the instructions out to either your company driver, your owner operator, or your carrier partner. Let's talk about the trip here for a minute. Here in the map route, you're going to see where you're going from and to, with the ability to email or download those directions if needed. Here on the route plan, you can see that you're picking up in the Bronx, delivering to Belvedere. I can calculate miles if needed. All I have to do is go calculate mileage and the software will populate the miles for me. Returning that from the Bronx to Belvedere is 872.5 miles. When I save this button, see down here, Georgia Green, she is a driver in my company database. I pay Georgia by the mile. So watch auto payables at work for you. As soon as I hit this save button, because we've now calculated the miles, the software will go to work for me. Will pay Georgia those miles, create a bill, and populate it on the screen. So I now don't have to do my driver pay, my owner operator pay manually. There's a bill for Georgia, 50 cents per mile for those 872 miles. As well, simply assigning the driver to this load now allows the software to send the details of this trip out through the driver's app. If you're making use of the Tailwind POD Complete app, you have just sent the information off to your driver. Alternatively, if you're not using the Tailwind POD Complete app, here under the print menu is the ability for you to email your trip manifest to your company driver. Most drivers have email enabled phones these days. Let's have a quick look at the trip manifest. So the trip manifest is the ability for you to give the instructions on what to move to your driver or owner operator. Your logo, your company information will be here. The trip number is your PO to the company driver or owner operator. It says where to pick up, where to deliver. Information will flow right through from whatever you put in as instructions. Back to the dispatch. Now, this dispatch is meant to track the load as it's rolling along the highway. So your driver calls in. This is a scenario if the driver's not using the driver's app. The driver calls in, you can mark the time that the driver arrived at Acme Manufacturing just by switching these toggles on and hitting the save button. Once you mark the departed flag, that's going to move this load into an in-transit movement. But also know, if you're using the driver's app, your driver can actually mark those flags for you. When Georgia goes into the Acme Manufacturing Company in the Bronx, New York, she can press a button on the driver's app on her cell phone that will mark that flag, will populate the time that Georgia sent me the message. So I can be tracking in and out times directly from messages sent from my driver's cell phone. Now, once a load is marked as delivered in the application, the software is going to take care of some processes for you. It's going to pick this related order up and it will move it over to the admin side of the application into the invoicing screen, where it's going to wait for proofs of delivery to be attached, auditing and editing to happen. Send the invoice off to your customer. As well, the last thing an ops person will do, once they know the load has been delivered by these flags being marked, the last thing an ops person will do, checking out the expenses, the revenue, what your margin might be, is they will complete the dispatch. Completing a dispatch will allow the software to pick up these related expenses and move them over here to the AP side, where they'll wait in bill posting to be, again, audited, edited, and posted. Now, I'd like to take just a brief moment to talk to you about some more complicated functions of dispatching, and not one I'm going to go over in great length in this video for you. You have the ability to switch and drop. You have the ability to add in locations. So let's talk about that just for a brief minute. Adding locations or border crossings is just the ability to add additional locations. Maybe this is a load of meat and you have to take it to a meat inspection facility. You can add that location in, make sure it's in the correct position on the route plan, recalculate miles to account for that additional location. Switches. Those are very useful when trucks break down. Very often, trucks break down and you have to get another truck or carrier partner under that load. Switches will allow you to do that. Drops. Sometimes we send town tractors out to do preloads for our highway guys, or our highway guys drop full trailers into our yard and town trucks will then deliver it. That's where a drop is very useful for you. You add the location in representing your yard and then drop it at that location. Great, let's go back and pick up an order to dispatch as a freight brokerage company. Slightly different process for you, everyone. So I'm just coming back to my order screen. And I'm going to grab, and again, I've got to filter my list. Sorry about that. That's just me in my personal settings and how I have my database set up. Just waiting, but there we go. So now we have this one, that the order we created here in this video together. I'm going to go ahead and dispatch this onto a brokerage as if I was a brokerage facility. So when I dispatch all shipments, again, onto a new, I will now make sure my brokered carrier partner button is highlighted. So right here, switching it from company truck to brokered carrier, now the software is going to show me every carrier I have set up and vetted in my database. So all I have to do now is choose the carrier that I'm going to move the load with. My contacts in that carrier will populate here. So maybe I happen to talk to Ryan. Ryan's the one that's going to do the job for me. Again, I've got branch details that I can switch if needed if I run multiple branches. I can track the driver's cell, the carrier tractor number, the carrier trailer number, but truly this screen is meant to hold how much am I paying the carrier for the movement of this freight. So we'll go ahead and pay the carrier $1,000 on this load. Here in the charge type is the ability for you to categorize your expenses. Just like categorizing your revenue for freight charges and accessorials, you can also categorize your expenses. I like all of my brokered carrier costs to be dumped into one expense bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my brokered carrier expense. And when I hit the save button, again, the software will go to work for me, create a dispatch for me that I can now use to send the load confirmation to my carrier partner. Give it just a minute. We're waiting for the dispatch to populate here for us. And again, my internet at work for you, everyone. Great. Here's our trip. So it does assign a new trip number for you. Everything is here. We're picking up at Building Supply Company in Portland, going to Ontario, Cal. It shows the carrier that I've hired to move the job. Here under the print menu is the ability for you to email that load confirmation. Let's have a look at it. The load confirmation is, of course, the legal binding contract that gets set up between yourself and the carrier partner you hired to move the job. Again, your logo, your company information will populate here. These loading terms and conditions, completely customizable by yourselves, everyone. Everyone wants their own loading terms and conditions on the bottom of their load con, and that can be accomplished in the document fields of the configuration area of the application. All instructions will come through. Driver must check in at security gate, pickup numbers. Everything is there for you. So you can give the instructions to your carrier partner and let them see everything they need to do the job properly for you. Sometimes there's specific load instructions that are just for this particular load. It's not related to the location, and that can also be accomplished. Let's have a look at that. Notes are so very valuable to you. Notes are attached to every single record in the software, everyone. Let's go ahead and add a load instruction note to this. So all I have to do is add a note, and in my note type, as long as I set it as a load instruction note, that will go and show on the load confirmation. So let's say instructions, and now let's say driver must ID as my company, and driver must check call every morning by 9 a.m. Whatever those instructions are. Once I click the create button, those notes are going to show for me. Whatever notes I have on this load will all show here in the notes section. So I will always be able to open that note and see it. But if I now print that load confirmation, it's going to show those load instructions for me clearly and concisely on my load confirmation. Great, let's go back to the dispatch. You can still, even though it's gone out to a carrier partner, you can still calculate the miles. The software will do that for you. Just so you know, all of our miles are calculated by an application called here.com, and they are truck practical miles. Great, so that's dispatching a load both on company equipment as well as carrier partners. Oh, one last thing I should mention, everyone. Is while you can certainly email load confirmations out to your carrier partners, you can also do electronic load confirmations with this button. Great. That takes care of order entry and dispatching, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.